It's Mom and Pop Video Shop.
All right, Tyson.
Yes.
Mom and Pop, got some work for us to do. We got to put together the standee. Just came in for this new movie I heard that George Romero put out called The Dark Half.
Oh, apparently came out on 10/27/93. If the box.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to get our new release section might be a little dated. We're not sure. So we got to put this together. Only catch, there are no instructions.
Is it heavy?
It's not that heavy, but there's a lot of pieces and there's no instructions. I restate.
Can we just recommend the movie instead?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Wow, just wow.
Welcome back to Mom and Pop Video Shop. I'm Tyson.
And I'm Joel, and we'll be winning many awards for our acting.
Did you see that? Right. If this doesn't, the subscription doesn't climb after this, I don't know.
Or
what
it
I'm
might
thinking,
drop.
so.
That's always a possibility, yes.
But we're back for another episode of Retro Weekly Movie Recommendations.
Retro movie recommendation.
Retro Movie Recommendations. We're covering 1993's The Dark Half.
Yes, if the thumbnail, the title, the description, or the dumb holding the standee. And yes, that is actually the standee in the original box.
The Oscar-winning performance.
Yes, and by the way, the reason why it isn't put together, because legit, it came with no instructions.
I told Joel we should, but we're we only got limited time here at the shop.
Yes,
so.
indeed.
But I will read the back of the box as we do with all these episodes, and then we'll chat about it. The master of suspense, Stephen King, triumphs in this riveting tale of a man possessed. Thad Beaumont, played by Timothy Hutton, is a college professor who moonlights as a writer of pop thrillers under the pseudonym George Stark. When Thad finally writes a serious novel, he decides it's time to stop writing shockers. I find that mildly offensive. That, shockers can't be serious novels. But at any rate, not everyone is pleased. George Stark has come to life in a deadly way. He doesn't want to die, so he turns to violent and desperate acts to prove his point. Thad is suddenly forced to battle his own creation for the control of the mind, which both must share.
Mm-hmm.
As Thad and his wife, played by Amy Madigan, who's fantastic.
Yes, she's great.
Get pulled deeper into the harrowing nightmare, they learn about secrets in Thad's past, which have led to the fear that now engulfs them. Thad must fight an enemy who knows his every thought and move as he races to end the bloody reign of terror.
And Michael Rooker.
I was going to say, Michael Rooker is wonderful in this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows him as Merle and Guardians of the Galaxy and all this stuff.
Henry.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah, that's
not
true.
everybody
I guess
knows.
not everybody knows that.
But that's where I was going with this. I feel like young, early Michael Rooker and the horror projects that he was involved with.
And also, this is the same year that Cliffhanger came out, which he did.
I love him in Cliffhanger. Yep. Underrated as hell. He's great in this.
He's so great.
Do you remember him in Sea of Love with Pacino?
Yes.
And John
89.
And John Goodman.
Yes.
Talk about two underrated performances that usually get typecast in
other
different
things,
types of roles. But Michael Rooker and John Goodman, here we are waxing on about Sea of Love, and we're supposed to be covering tonight. The masterpiece, in my opinion, that is The Dark Half.
Yeah.
So let's get back to this.
Yes.
Folks, I love The Dark Half.
Yep.
It's directed by George Romero. We mentioned stars Timothy Hutton, Amy Madigan, Michael Rooker.
Yep.
anybody else in the cast?
That's off the top of my head because I haven't watched it in a while. Yeah. That's all that's popping in my brain. I feel like there's somebody else who plays like, isn't there like Michael Rooker's the cop.
Michael Rooker's the sheriff.
Okay. Yeah. I honestly don't remember. I'm sure there's somebody else. So I'm just not thinking of it.
But at any rate, if you've read Stephen King's
I have read the
novel,
book.
The Dark Half, that's one of my favorites. I love all of Stephen King's books about writers. Mm-hmm. And if you're a King fan, you know that there's a lot of those. The Dark Half is among my favorite. I think the concept for this one is fantastic. Again, I don't want to spoil it too much because...
What I feel like, too, you wouldn't be spoiling it by pointing out it's all connected to his King's real-life pseudonym, Richard Bachman, and how he had gotten rid of it.
Exactly.
And that gave him the idea, like, oh, what if Bachman
essentially
didn't appreciate being...
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily spoil it. Essentially, that's what you get with this story, is that the pseudonym that Thad Beaumont writes under comes to life.
And if memory serves, there's no real, like, explicit explanation for why, right? I don't remember.
Well, and that's the thing where I can kind of get confused between what I read in the book and what's in the movie and what transferred. They explain like
I feel
what's
like the
going
movie,
on to a degree.
I feel like the movie, and I can't remember who the actress is, but I remember, isn't there an older woman who's sort of like a mentor in a way to Thad Beaumont?
Yeah, she smokes a pipe.
Yes.
Yeah, she's another college professor.
Yes.
That, she's a professor of like folklore.
I feel like that's somebody well known to it. I'm just not thinking about it.
Yeah, I can't think either.
Yeah.
But where's I going with this?
You were talking about how awesome The Dark Half is.
Well, yeah. So it is awesome.
Julie Harris from The Haunting? I think that is who it is.
who it
Yeah,
is.
that's why I thought it was
Absolutely
somebody
right.
major.
Absolutely
Okay,
right.
cool.
The other thing I love about the movie version of this, and I think it's
Romero wrote it too.
the same in the book, is the car. I think it's like
yes.
maybe a 68 Oldsmobile Tornado.
I love that.
And shout out to my Army buddy Ryan. Ryan has at least a couple of Tornadoes. I think.
Oh,
He's
nice.
Rebuilding them, working on them. So
That's sweet.
it's one of those cool freaking muscle cars.
Yeah.
That it's not your typical everyone wants a Charger or Mustang or Camaro or whatever. The old Tornado with what you remember what he's got? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you remember what George Stark has written on the back of his?
I remember
Tornado?
there's something. I don't remember what it is.
High tone son of a bitch.
That's it. Yep.
And is George Stark not like one of the coolest King villains? Like I put him up there with like
Randall Flagg.
Randall Flagg,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
The boots and the straight razor.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
so
slick
good.
back
And it's
hair
great
and the-
because you wouldn't think Timothy Hutton.
Yeah.
But because I think of Timothy, Thad Beaumont is Timothy Hutton. Like that's that kind of character.
Yeah.
But like the George Stark character is really
To the point
menacing.
where
And
I remember when I first saw this as a kid, I wasn't I didn't have the appreciation for who Timothy Hutton was, and I didn't know about the Oscar-winning performances or any of this stuff. But it's like he did win an Oscar, right?
Yeah, for don't say it. Is it Ordinary People? Robert Redford directed it. It's 1980. Yeah.
But at any rate, his performance is so good that I thought it was two different.
Actors.
different actors,
Oh yeah, he's
100%.
so great. He's so good.
And the makeup effects and the start change and what goes on with
Stark.
that. Well, I mean, I think I meant the Stark change.
Oh, like the change into Stark.
Yeah, but I just realized it is a Stark change too. So.
Pun intended.
Directed by freaking George Romero. And
Written, he wrote the screenplay too.
Exactly.
Yep.
And when you got that Romero and Stephen King combination, again, pretty hard to go
And I
wrong
think
with
this is one of those movies too that even horror fans, whenever they're having talks about Romero, obviously we've got the Givens, right? We've got the Living Dead films, even the Crazies. There's all of these like certain movies of his that we always go to. I mean, the Dead films being the most obvious. But I feel like Creepshow, but I feel like this movie, and there's another one of his that I don't want to bring up yet that I'm going to cover, but that's even more obscure in my mind than this. But
is it from the 70s?
No, it's actually from the early 2000s.
Oh, because I was going to say Martin.
Well, Martin too, yeah. But I just think this is a really underrated movie. I saw this opening weekend in 1993.
Oh, you did at the theater? Very cool.
Yes. And I remember loving it. I saw it at least 3 times in the theater, I'm pretty sure. Like I saw a couple. Like I loved it.
Well, then it's probably no surprise here. I think I'm going to go 5 tapes on the dark half.
Absolutely 5 tapes. It's a 5-taper.
If it's not obvious, folks, we're both big fans of the dark half.
Massive.
If you haven't seen it, track it down. If you have seen it, let us know in the comments below what you think.
Indeed.
Try not to spoil too much because there's sort of a twist
There-
here that's a little
there-
spoilery.
yeah.
Spoilery,
Spoily.
if that's word spoily.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. Definitely do that. And I guess then.
I'll close out by saying there are indeed very good reasons to be afraid of the dark. And remember that Mom and Pops, our love of,
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
never stops.
Totally different kind of movie.
Mom and Pop's Video Show.